What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today I do my evaluations of the coaches and what they need to do going forward to make sure that they make this football team an improved football team. Not only that, a possible championship team. And with that being said, I'm going to get right into it. First, I'm going to let you all know Ron Rivera will be associated with both sides of the football. So I'm going to evaluate him. I'm going to put an evaluation on what he needs to do on the offensive side and on the defensive side. So with that being said, I'm going to start it off with Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera first, he needs to utilize timeouts only at the 2-minute warning. I know a lot of people may not agree with me on this, but when it comes down to it, I personally feel that the timeouts should only be utilized at 2-minute warnings. The reason why is because, again, I feel that go ahead and use the timeouts. I mean, you get 3 in the first half, you get 3 again in the second half. Go ahead and utilize them. So for me, I feel that he should only be utilizing them at the 2-minute warning. But again, there's also a part where, plays need to be pushed in a little bit faster, but that's for another coach. But yeah, Ron definitely needs to utilize his timeouts only at the 2-minute warning. If we get a penalty or something like that because the plays aren't getting in fast enough, or the clock is running out and things like that, I would rather deal with the penalty on that. But again, I think he should only utilize his timeouts at the 2-minute warning. Number 2 for Ron Rivera, he has to guide Scott Turner a little bit more, especially when it comes to calling plays. I think that there's times where Ron Rivera should be like, hey, Scott, look, that play worked the first time. Let's try it again. Or, hey, let's do a run right here. I think a lot of times Ron Rivera gives a lot of leeway to his coaches, feeling like, okay, they have to learn. But I think that there's times where Ron Rivera sees stuff a little bit better in the game, but he probably doesn't say as much, almost like he's letting them work it out. But I think that in this particular situation, he needs to guide Scott Turner a little bit better, because sometimes Scott can call plays and it's like, why would he call that play? And Ron Rivera does a good job with not analyzing it in front of everybody, but I do think that behind doors he does. And I think he needs to guide Scott Turner a little bit more in regards to play calling. And 3, the last one and the most important one, and it's a two-pronged thing. Don't fear benching Ryan Fitzpatrick, and don't fear staying with Taylor Heinicke. The reason I feel that Ryan Fitzpatrick is here is because Ron Rivera got scared about just going with Taylor Heinicke, even though Taylor Heinicke did actually prove himself in one of the biggest games there is. I think he probably heard a lot of the things of where people were saying that, if they go into the season with Taylor Heinicke and Kyle Allen, it'll be like John Beck and Rex Grossman. I need to stop everybody there, because Rex Grossman was a trash quarterback before he got to us. And if y'all remember in that Super Bowl, Rex Grossman threw two interceptions, which cost Chicago the game. But that's neither here nor there. Taylor Heinicke is not Rex Grossman or John Beck. I think that there was a legitimate opportunity for him to get a chance. Now, I understand that he may not have stuck somewhere else, but realize this. He knows this offense. We saw what he did in this offense. And that is something Ron Rivera has to understand. He cannot fear benching Ryan Fitzpatrick. I know a lot of times when head coaches get these veteran quarterbacks that they play bad, next thing you know, they don't want to bench him. So Ron Rivera cannot fear benching Ryan Fitzpatrick. And he cannot fear staying with Taylor Heinicke. If you give Ryan Fitzpatrick a 3-interception cushion, you have to give Taylor Heinicke a 3-interception cushion as well. I just feel that when it comes down to it, he cannot be scared to stick with Taylor Heinicke, especially if he's playing well. On to the next coach. Offensive coordinator Scott Turner. Scott Turner needs to get Terry the ball. Last year, he got a little happy with calling plays for all over the place. And because of that, I think that created a lot of inconsistencies, especially when it came to Terry McLaurin getting the ball. He has to get Terry the ball. Terry is a dynamic wide receiver. All he needs is the ball in his hand. And not only that, Terry is impressive when it comes to yak. And you have to get him the ball to make sure that he's able to make plays. There was a lot of times where he made at least probably 2 or 3 plays and didn't make a play the rest of the game because they stopped going to him. He has to go to Terry he has to go to Terry a lot when it comes to this. Be consistent with rerunning plays. Now that is in contention with Ron Rivera guiding Scott Turner. Scott has to understand, hey, Terry just caught a 17-yard pass. So he's clearly dominating this wide receiver. Let me call that play again. And to stick with these plays until they stop him. His dad was famous for that. I mean, I remember times where if Emmitt Smith had the hot hand, we were going to see Emmitt Smith the entire game. If Michael Irvin had the hot hand, we were going to see Michael Irvin the whole game. Scott Gilbreth, Alvin Harper. We was going to see these guys the whole game. Jay Novacek. We was going to see these guys. Daryl Johnston. We was going to see these guys over and over and over again until somebody stopped the play. He needs to adapt that. Don't fear to rerun a play over and over again. Utilize Antonio Gibson more in third downs. Our running game became too predictable based on who was in the lineup. A lot of times we heard Mike Tomlin say, 1st and 2nd down, 17 and 24, 3rd down, 17 and 25. It's sad to see that. We all knew that when Peyton Barber came in, it was short yardage. We knew that. It's now time for him to round Antonio Gibson out, because what we were told we were going to get from Antonio Gibson, we didn't get it. Now I get that they may have focused on him developing a little bit more as a running back because they probably felt that, hey, at the end of the day, he knows how to catch the ball, but we need for him to learn to be a running back. I can understand that. But again, he needs to be utilized a whole lot more, especially on 3rd and 4th downs, so we can really grasp what type of running back we got. And at the same time, we get out of the predictability when it comes to the running plays. And last but not least, he needs to give whatever quarterback it is 6 plays during the 2-minute offense. This will also help. Ron Rivera in regards to timeouts. Because if he has 6 plays, or if the quarterback already has 6 plays, Scott Turner will be able to say, hey, this is a running play that's coming up. You might want to call a touchdown you might want to call a timeout if this is not successful. Then at that point, Ron Rivera will be on point when it comes to making sure he gets a timeout in, and it's not being a delay before he gets a timeout in. So those are things that Scott Turner really needs to do. 6 plays during the 2-minute offense, and helping Ron be able to call timeouts, especially on plays where Ron isn't really sure what play is coming out. So that will help in both regards. The next person is quarterback coach Ken Zampese. Now, I'm going to tell y'all like this. I am one of the people who criticize Ken Zampese because I feel that he's not a quarterback developer. In my personal opinion, we saw Dwayne Haskins massively regress. I feel that that's a part of it. And we're now talking about Steven Montez turning into a Taysom Hill type of quarterback. And to me, this all alludes to the fact that Ken Zampese is possibly not the best developer of quarterbacks. And for that, I feel that this is something that needs to be actually fixed and handled in the future, especially if we draft a guy next year. The benefit he has is that he's getting a veteran staff this year at the quarterback position, so at least he doesn't have to develop. But this year, I think he needs to focus on teaching the quarterbacks that they need to, that when they come out of the huddle, they need to look to see if there's 12 to 15 seconds still on the play clock. Because, again, what's normally happening, and we've seen this a lot during the season, they would get up to the line and they would either get the penalty for delay a game or come extremely close to getting it. So they need Ken Zampese really needs to focus on getting the timing correct with the quarterbacks for them to see 15 seconds on the clock or 15 to 12 seconds on that play clock so they can get the play in and get the offense going. Next is the offensive line coach. John Matsko. He actually took over a very veteran line, and with that veteran line, they kind of probably masked things that John Matsko didn't even probably know that he needed helping. This year is going to be a big year for him. He's going to have to show he knows how to develop offensive linemen. Not only that, he's coming into a team in which we've had a very substantial history of Joe Bugle being here, who was a great line developing guy, and also Bill Callahan, who also developed guys. So he's going to have to show that he falls in line with that history, because you're talking about we have a gaping hole on the right side that needs to be filled by either Sadiq Charles or Samuel Cosme or even Cornelius Lucas. He's going to have to show that he can develop these guys. You're talking about last year, we saw regression from Wes Martin in only his second year. We didn't see Sadiq Charles much because of the injury. Keith Ishmael, we didn't see him at all. So now he's not going to be able to hide these guys. He's going to have to show that he can actually build a line and build a line that is formidable against other teams, because, again, if this offensive line has problems, especially on this right side, he's going to have a terrible, terrible issue, especially when, you know, this veteran line that he took over was 6th place, and if this new line falls down to the 20th slot or lower, there's going to be a big issue. Next is the extension of the offensive line, which is the tight ends. So the tight end coach, Pete Honer, last year we all gave him credit for developing Logan Thomas. This year we have to find out if that's actually true. Did he develop Logan Thomas, or was it just Logan Thomas needed an opportunity? Because in comparison to Logan Thomas, Marcus Ball didn't develop, and neither did Tamrick Hemingway. You're talking about, we did not see another tight end match the same developmental style or play that Logan Thomas presented. And because of that, he now has to show that he can develop another tight end. He is getting another veteran guy in Ricky Seals-Jones, a guy who I really like. But again, he has to show that he can develop a guy. John Bates, he's going to have to show that he can develop John Bates into more than just a blocking tight end. He's going to have to show that Sammis Reyes is not a guy that we took a huge chance on and that he will become something special down the line. He's going to have to show that he, in fact, does develop tight ends, and it just wasn't a situation where Logan Thomas just needed an opportunity to actually come in and play. Next is running backs coach Randy Jordan, and I only got down here for him. Keep his track record of developing running backs. Randy Jordan has been here since, I think, 2014. In his time here, he's done a fantastic job with developing running backs and all types of running backs. I mean, he's done a very good job, especially with guys that some people would have said there's no way he can be an NFL starting running back. He developed Chris Thompson, who came in injury prone. He also assisted in helping develop Matt Jones. Even though Matt Jones couldn't keep hold of the football, Matt Jones did look good at certain times. He developed, when it came to it, he developed Rob Kelly. A lot of people tend to forget about Rob Kelly, but understand, Rob Kelly coming into the NFL was considered slow. He was considered very slow to NFL standards when it came to him actually sitting up there and being a real NFL caliber running back. And of course, Darius Geis, we saw the ability Darius Geis came with. If he didn't have the off the field issues, it's no telling what Darius Geis would have been. And last but not least, you're talking about what he did with Antonio Gibson. You're talking about a guy who hadn't played running back since high school, came into the league and sat up there and almost broke the NFL rushing rookie record for touchdowns. And I think he did break the rushing record for rookies with the Redskins. So, I mean, with the Washington football team. So, Randy Jordan has done a fantastic job with developing running backs. And I feel that what he needs to do is just stick with that pattern of what he's doing. And we're going to see the exact same development in Jared Patterson if he sticks to whatever routine he's handling right now. Next is wide receivers coach Drew Terrell. And he has to show that he can coach wide receivers and develop them as well. Last year, we saw a wide receiver group that was not as good as they could have been. Now, you're talking about we saw a massive regression from Steven Sims Jr., which was absolutely shocking to everyone. We also saw Dontrell Emmett, a veteran, look like he did not know what he was doing. And we saw that from a lot of the wide receivers last year. Like, they did not really know where they were supposed to be. They didn't know what concepts was going on. They would run routes and run the wrong way. There was a lot of that going on. And a lot of that falls on Drew Terrell. For him to show that he is going to be a solid wide receivers coach, he's going to have to show that these wide receivers do have consistency. They know where they're supposed to be and they know where they're supposed to go. Not only that, he has to develop guys as well. Because last year, we did not see development in Isaiah Wright like we should have seen. Not only that, AGG, even though he was injured, when he did come in, he didn't look that good at all. So, and even with Cam Sims, we understood that Cam Sims just needed an opportunity, but there was times where Cam Sims would run a route the wrong way. So we saw that. But he's going to have to show that development is his top priority and coaching the guys to be where they're supposed to be there on time, and a lot of other things, because, again, we can't have this wide receiver group be only Terry McLaurin again. Curtis Samuel is coming in. He should be solid. Adam Humphries should be solid. But, again, Curtis Samuel knows the playbook. Not really sure what Adam Humphries might know, but again, if guys look like they're out of place, not where they're supposed to be, not developing, then he's going to have a very hard time. Last but not least is special teams coach Nate Kazor. I think it's Kazor. But anyway, he needs to speak up more. He needs to speak up and tell and let Ron know who his return man is going to be. Because I think last year there was a lot of switch around into who was going to be his returner, should it be for punts and kickoffs. And because of that, you saw a little bit of the inconsistency. You saw consistency when Danny Johnson took over a lot, but there was times when Isaiah Wright would return kicks. There was times when Steven Sims would return kicks, and it just promoted a big, massive amount of inconsistency in the return game. And you can also see it when it came to the blocking. Players had an issue with trying to block for Steven Sims in comparison when they were trying to block for Danny Johnson. They seem a little bit more consistent with that. So he definitely needs to speak up and let Ron know who his return man is going to be. And last but not least for him, Camaron Cheeseman. If Dustin Hopkins or Tressway struggle because the football has been snapped too high or over their heads and anything like that, Nate is going to go through the ringer, because you're talking about releasing a consistent guy in Nick Sundberg, and you drafted a guy in hopes that he can actually do that. You're talking about the consistency needs to be there with this guy. And if it's not, that's going to be a massive, massive problem for Nate Kazor. So with that, the development of Camaron Cheeseman is vital to what's going on with him. That is my assessment and what the coaches need to do to make this team on the offensive side very good, very strong in the upcoming season. Training camp is actually going to be June the 8th. I will be, hopefully they'll let us back, and if so, I will be there. Currently right now, tomorrow's show, I'm going to focus on the defensive side and what the coaches need to do on the defensive side that's going to make this team the Pro Bowl and Super Bowl caliber defense that they need to be. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.